Yo, what is up YouTube, and welcome to my Season 14 item tier list. This is only gonna be AD UDYR basically, because I think like doing AD and AP UDYR in one tier list just doesn't really work, because the items work differently in both champions. This is not gonna be edited or anything like that. This is just gonna be an off-the-hook video. I don't have any bullet points. Usually I don't have a script. I usually just have some bullet points when I do like a longer video, but this is just gonna be like me, the tier list, you guys, and my thoughts. So let's start just on top. This is Terminus, goes into D tier. You know what, we're gonna call D tier trash and S tier super. Terminus is just a bad item, so we can also just pull up Black Cleaver at the same time, because these items have like a very similar niche. I'm gonna put Black Cleaver in, you know what, I'm gonna put Black Cleaver in B tier, but I'm gonna explain to you why Black Cleaver is not an S tier. Black Cleaver has insane stats, it's extremely cheap at 3k gold, but the active, very much like Terminus, that doesn't have good stats, that's why it's a trash tier, is very bad. AD UDYR wants to burst targets in the first, let's say 2 to 4 auto attacks, right? Even if you count this E-stun. You want to burst targets in your first 4 auto attacks, right? And Black Cleaver only gives you max pen after you do your 4 auto attacks. After you do your 5 auto attacks, you get max pen. This one is even worse. It basically gives you the Emma and armor pen after 6 auto attacks. It's pretty worthless. I would say Black Cleaver is definitely much better. But since we are talking about armor pen items, let me guys tell you the better options you have for armor pen. Where are we? We have LDR. I would put LDR in, I would put it in A tier because it has crit. The stats are not that great on LDR, but it just gives you 40% flat armor pen, meaning if you don't build any armor, it's basically like a lethality item and a tank killer, right? Because 40% of 100 armor is still 40 pen, right? So this item is really insane. I love building this item last on AD UDYR when I really need penetration. Before that, AD UDYR usually doesn't really need penetration to kill targets. It's usually just at the very end of the game when tanks are so tanky that you having to hit them more often is actually bad, that you need armor pen, and this is your best option. I would say if, and I'm gonna put this in C tier, if you need armor pen and anti here, you can go this. It's pretty okay, but overall this is the best option. This is like an okay option. I would not recommend building around Cleaver. It's generally speaking good stats, horrible functionality, and if you build Terminus you have issues. Then, since we talk about anti here for AD UDYR Chem Punk, I'm gonna put behind what is this item called? I forgot. The Last Whisper item, because this has better stats, but just because it has better stats doesn't mean that you would want to build. Like, there is no niche for this item really in UDYR's build, right? I would rather have some armor pen and have the anti-heal than just having anti-heal and good stats, right? The good stats don't matter. I can build like 1,000 other items that have better stats and have a niche than building Chem Tank. It's not horrible. I would say it's just, I would say it's like on par with this because of stats maybe. Let's leave it there for now. Okay. Unending Despair for AD UDYR goes into C tier. Let's put it into high C tier for now. It's pretty good against a lot of melee champions. The more melee champions they have in the enemy team, the more likely they are gonna be in your radius of Unending Despair more often, meaning you just get more effectiveness out of the item. Next item is Profane Hydra. I will put Profane into B tier for now. I don't think it's a bad item on UDYR. I think it's actually pretty good. It's decently strong. The stats are good, but it's a 3.3k item that doesn't give you any health. That's like the biggest issue this item has. It's extremely expensive for what it actually does in your kit. So overall, I will put it into low B for now. The execute is really nice on it though. This we skip, this we skip. Sunder Sky, I'm actually gonna put Sunder Sky into S. I've been experimenting a lot with Sunder Sky, and I think it is... You can say it's comparable to Trinity Force. If you're up against a lot of melee champions, you could actually do a cracked build like Unending Sunder Sky. I might do a build like this. Let's see. But if you're up against a lot of melee champions, you can definitely pull off like crazy plays with this. Very, very crazy plays. I'm gonna like edit in a clip of me using Sunder Sky right now. But yeah, overall, Sunder Sky, really good stats. The healing is really nice. Keep in mind, it's a crit auto attack, meaning your lifesteal portion of your W scales off of crit. Lifesteal scales of crit. It's an artificial crit. So if you get a W Sunder Sky low HP, or an even better, an Awakened W Sunder Sky low HP auto attack off, you're gonna heal like crazy with this item. This item is very, very decent damage, great sustain, good stats. Pretty good. This item I'm gonna put into trash. Honestly, you don't need to slow. Your first opener is 90% your stun. And if it's not your stun, you just are in a position where you wouldn't need to slow. It's not like unplayable. It's very expensive though. If you have approach and my meta build the Yomus into Trinity Force, but you don't need the slow from Voltic Evan. It's just an overpriced item for what it would do on AD UDYR. Not good. Opportunity, A tier. I'm gonna put it like ahead of LDR. Opportunity is really good, but you know what? I'm actually gonna put it behind LDR. Opportunity is a really good item in theory because it gives UDYR the ability to control his fights more. Meaning when you are in the midst of a fight, now you can also decide if you, after killing a target, want to retreat. Especially now that we play AD UDYR so much more bursty after the loss of Lethal Tempo and Ghost. It is good. The only issue for me is always like, I don't want to build two items that don't have health on a champion like AD UDYR because we are like a full melee champion. We don't have like a dash like an assassin or anything. So this item has like, it has a good niche, but a niche that is not justifiable currently because of its stats. Okay, where are we? This is complicated. I will put it in trash for now. Right now, Hexblade is bugged. Hexblade procs off of you using any stance, which is horrible. That means you can't control the use case. It's supposed to be coded as you being able to use it whenever you use your Awaken. Right now it doesn't work like that. If it would work as intended, especially now with the CDR rune in the game, I would put it into low B tier. I would put it into low B tier, low key, because it actually would help UDYR get to targets. It would help UDYR to kill targets. It's not bad. I would put it in low B tier if it would work, but right now it doesn't work and we don't know if it's ever going to be fixed, so we put it in trash tier because it's bugged. Then this item I'm not going to consider. You're never going to build this, you're never going to build this, you're never going to build this. Hubris for the lethality enjoyers, it goes into trash. You know what, we're going to put it into C. It has CDR, which is nice, but the stats are okay. It's very pricey and it's a Feast of Famine item. You can do much better with less gold, so there isn't too much to talk about here. This item I'm gonna put into low C tier too. It's a support item, it's a Sheen proc item, but UDYR is very good with Sheen, so if you play support, you can make use of this. Again, take C tier as maybe okay niche or okay stats, but usually never needed. This is C tier. B tier is good stats or good functionality, but there's better items. A tier is items you're gonna see a lot, and S tier are items you're gonna see almost every build you build. Okay. Abyssal Mask, I'm not gonna consider, you're never gonna build it. This item doesn't exist. Ardent is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. Blade. Blade is a bit noob bait, guys. I'm gonna put Blade into B tier. It's a bit noob bait. It's a little bit better now that they changed the on-hit, the power budget of Blade from the on-hit portion into stats. It has better stats. More AD means that UDYR does more because most of our damage comes from our Q, despite us auto-attacking that much. So it is better, but it's a bit noob bait. It's not really needed. You can build other items that do the same thing. Just think about it like this, okay? If you build AD on AD UDYR, you automatically have a Blade. If you build CDR on UDYR, you immediately have a Blade, because that is how UDYR's Q works, right? You invest into AD, and your Q gives you max HP damage, plus on hit. So Blade is noob bait, in my opinion. Most of the time. You can build it, it's gonna make targets melt, but you're basically gonna do nothing else with it. Bloodthirster, trash tier, like all these ADC items, they usually just don't really work on AD UDYR. There's some exceptions. 1 second. Okay, now, Deadman's Plate, guys, obviously super tier. It's in super tier, of course it is. Deadman's Plate is like one of the most insane items on UDYR, period. Whether you go tank AD, Phoenix UDYR, full AP, Deadman's Plate is probably his best item, like his most useful item right now. All across the board. No matter what build you do, even if you go a lethality build, this item would be great. So Deadman's Plate, don't sleep on it. It's great for the slow resistance. And for the overall movement speed, DD goes into B tier. It has, you know what, I'm gonna put it into A tier. I'm gonna put it into A tier because UDYR's build path shifted into more AD and less HP. So having more AD opens up taking these AD scaling defensive items, quote unquote, like more DD, potentially Eclipse, into A tier. I'm gonna put more in the same tier for that reason. And Eclipse, you know what? I will put it in high A tier right now. I don't know if it's S tier yet. I don't know if Eclipse is an item you would want in every UDYR build if you build around a solid item. I will put it in high A tier. It's a really solid burst item. It gives you some survivability. UDYR procs it very easily if you have your R ticking and auto attack once you instantly proc it. So, you know what? Let's put it low S tier actually. Put it low S tier for now. Edge of Night, honestly, it's kind of A tier. Edge of Night gives you decent stats and a spell shield. Like, there's not much to talk about here. It's another offensive, defensive item. There's a lot of situations where you could build this over other items, like if you're up against a Blitzcrank or something, and this guy's just the god hand of hooking, and this is gonna help you a lot, right? You don't have to blow so many E2s on Ash arrows or whatever, so can be useful. I'm gonna put it in low A tier. Then why would you ever build this item? It doesn't even have a sheen effect. I'm not even gonna talk about it. It's just horrible. Don't build it. I wouldn't even build it on top lane UDYR. Then we have this you're never gonna build. This is A tier. The reason why this is A tier, I will put it in, I will leave it where it is right now. I'm gonna put it in front of Edge of Night and more though. It's really good now because a lot of tank items right now don't scale off of tank stats, meaning if I buy Force of Nature, I'm gonna get the exact same amount of value from this item as a tank UDYR would, because this is just how the items are coded. But Force of Nature, you can't build Force of Nature in every game where you need magic resistance. In a lot of them you can. You need to be able to stack Force of Nature and then tank damage. That is the condition, and there's some things that help you do that, like if they have a Lulu and a Kale and people who deal magic damage but don't burst you, you can get this item stacked pretty fast. If they have burns, you can get this item stacked pretty fast. But if you are in a situation as AD UDYR where you know, okay, I'm up against a super fat Syndra, I am not gonna stack this, like I'm one shot before I get any benefit from this item, I would say you go Kaenic. Which is... Please tell me it's in here. If not, we're gonna use a placeholder for Kaenic. Am I blind, guys? I don't think it's in here. I do not think it's in here. I hope that the other items are here, but the essential items are here. I'm gonna... For Kaenic as a placeholder, I'm gonna use... I'm gonna use this as a placeholder. I'm gonna put this right next to Force of Nature. This is Kaenic Rukon, guys. In our example here, it's a bit scuffed. I didn't see that they don't have this item here. Spirit Visage, I'm gonna put into B tier as a magic resistance option. Spirit Visage, you don't really buy for the magic resistance, you buy for the healing effect. And why would you ever go Spirit Visage in an AD UDYR build? Well, if you do something like Sunder Sky, Eclipse, DD, you might as well go Spirit Visage. It's pretty okay in that aspect. Then let's continue with the roll. We have Fimbulwinter, Frozen Heart. Honestly, on AD UDYR, man, like the attack speed's slow. Let's put it in low B tier. You only build it for the attack speed, so you get less armor from this than you get from Omen, and usually champions that auto attack crit. And if they don't crit, in my opinion, I would rather have a DMP with some lower armor than have a Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart, you would only go against something like a Viego Kale, right? Viego hates Frozen Heart, Kale hates Frozen Heart. But other than that, it's kind of like an iffy, it's in an iffy position. I don't even build it on Phoenix anymore, so that says a lot. It's gonna stay in low B tier, as low as it gets. GA, trash. Think about it like this, you have GA, you walk in, you kill a target, right? You die, you get the super long cooldown on it, but you revive. UDYR is just gonna spawn with like, what, 30% of his HP? Meaning that like you spawn with like basically nothing and you just get blown up again. It's like completely worthless for an item slot even. I would rather have a Zonia's Hourglass on AD UDYR than this item. That's how bad it is. Ginsius, goodbye sir, Heartsteel. I will put Heartsteel. You know what? I'm gonna move this to B tier because it's really not that bad. I'm gonna leave Heartsteel here. I'm gonna put it like this. Heartsteel is okay. You can proc it. You can do some heavy HP builds. But just remember, UDYR as a whole, UDYR's kit as a whole doesn't benefit greatly from HP. It really doesn't. The shield doesn't scale that hard of HP, the healing doesn't scale that hard of HP, and your AD damage doesn't benefit at all from this. But if you have Bloodmail, you can use it. We don't have Bloodmail. Is this a super outdated list? Hold up, guys. Okay, let's continue. Unfortunately, there isn't all items in this tier list, so I will have to freestyle a little bit. Let's say for Bloodmail we take this, and I would put Bloodmail into high A tier, somewhere here. Bloodmail is okay. Bloodmail basically gives you AD based on how low you are and how much HP you have. So if you go for like a super heavy HP build, like with something like a Warmox, then Bloodmail is pretty good. I would say Bloodmail is also pretty good if you get to auto attack more. If you get to auto attack more, I think Titanic Hydra is not that needed, but usually Titanic Hydra is your best last item for AD UDYR by far, because you just get to guarantee your 2 lightning auto attacks on a target because of the auto reset. We talked about Warmox. I would put Warmox into low 80. It's really good to get 15% movement speed from this. It's pretty easy to get like the passive going. It's just a good item. By the way, guys, at this point I want to say, if there is an item that is not on the list and that I missed, you can just ask me in the comments and I'm gonna tell you where I would place this item in this tier list, because there is no tier list that is complete right now. Then we have Hullbreaker, will put Hullbreaker. I kind of want to put it... Here's the weird thing with Hullbreaker. It should be S tier. It should be S tier as a last item, but it's so niche that it has to go high A tier. Hullbreaker is actually an incredible item on AD UDYR last. It scares of HP, it scares of AD, which are both stats you're gonna stack on AD UDYR. It gives you a lot of split pushing potential. It's actually great. I'm gonna put it in S tier as a honorable mention in S tier. It's not really S tier, it doesn't compete directly with Titanic Hydra, but if there's a game where you say, okay, you know what? I know I'm not gonna team fight. I know I'm not gonna pick off a target. They have so much utility in their team. I should have never went AD UDYR here. Go Hullbreaker and just split the shit out of this game. UDYR is actually so strong with Hullbreaker because Hullbreaker also benefits from high attack speed. It's kind of balanced around champions building a lot of HP and AD, but they don't have a lot of attack speed because usually champions that would want that, like Cyan or whatever, they don't really have that much attack speed. UDYR has insane amount of attack speed on his Q, especially Q Awaken. So honorable mention S tier. Then we have Frozen Fist. I'm gonna put Frozen Fist here. I'm not gonna like order these anymore, really. Frozen Fist is just very decent utility. It's a very cheap item. The only downside you have with Frozen Fist is that you don't get any AD from this item, but you get a sheen effect. So you can definitely construct builds. You know what? I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna put it next in B to Black Cleaver. It's a decent item. You can definitely make some builds with this. You know what? I'm gonna put this here too, realistically speaking. Because like these are items you are gonna see in a lot of builds. These are items you can definitely build with. Shield Bow, goodbye sir. Not gonna mention that it's a crit item. You don't really want crit unless it's LDR. Because LDR is just that good. Imperial Mandate I'm not gonna talk about. IE Keg. Kraken Slayer I'm gonna put into A tier. There is builds that utilize Kraken Slayer. I don't think it's as OP as I initially thought. It's decent. I'm gonna put it like here in this area. I think Eclipses. I think the more you are forced through your build to auto attack multiple times to make use of an item, the worse it gets. But Kraken Slayer is so strong that you can still do this. Like it's in the same niche as Blade of the Ruined King, but you just it just makes more sense because it has an execute portion of damage in its stat sheet. So it's actually not that bad. You can proc your Q2 and then proc Kraken Slayer when they are already low from like your burst, and you can secure more kills with this, especially with Coop. Jackshaw, gonna put it here, it's a good item if you really need magic, resistance and armor as your last. Night Swarm, not gonna consider. Doop. Muramana, I'm so sorry Muramana, but you go to seeds here. It's just not worth anymore. If you guys don't know, I used to like climb to Bit Master with Muramana UDYR because back when there were mythic items, there were not a lot of stats in items because they had such strong functionality, right? Like let's say Trinity Force, you could stack up on a tower and get huge shield procs, so they lowered the stats and they made the items functionality better. And Mune had like up to 95 AD for a 2.9k item that gives you 2 on-hits on UDYR. It was insane. But now there's so many high AD items that it's just not worth. It is just not worth. I'm so sorry, Mune. Maybe one day. Maybe one day you're gonna come back. This goes here. This goes here. All these weird items, guys. I'm making like a proper tier list here, okay? This goes into A tier, high A tier. This is probably the armor item you're gonna see most if you actually want to be tanky, because crit is kind of meta right now. This item reduces 30% crit damage, has a lot of armor. Pretty self-explanatory. Rapid fire. Kek. Hydra. Put it low B tier. I mean, you can build it. It gives you a lot of AD. You can do the cockroach build, whatever. It doesn't really work that well for jungle. It works decently well for top lane. It is A-okay, guys. It is A-okay. In case you don't know what the cockroach build is, UDYR gets lifesteal on his W, Hydra scales of lifesteal, the active, so you can use your W2, your W Awaken, and activate this and you heal a lot. That's the cockroach build. Then I mean, since it has 80 in the question, it's gonna come up. I'm gonna put Rylai's in here just so you know how bad this is, this tier. Serpent's Fang. I'm gonna put it into trash tier too. Like UDYR, like even though UDYR procs Serpent's Fang on his R, UDYR should never have to build Serpent's Fang. It's horrible. It's horrible. If you're in a game where you have to build Serpent's Fang because nobody else does, you already know this game is gonna be a rough one. Grudge goes trash tier. It's too lethality dependent and we have LDR. So why would you ever go this? It's kind of bad. It has better stats technically, but it scales with lethality, so it forces you into building lethality. Then Shojin. I'm gonna put Shojin into A or high B. I'm not a huge Shojin fan. But I think it's the highest. No, okay, if Edge of Night is here, then we have to put Shojin at least here. Shojin is decent. You may think I get so many stats from this item and 12% damage to my abilities. 12% increased damage after stacking it on your abilities really isn't that much damage. It's way less than a Sheen proc if you deal 1000 damage. If you deal 1000 damage with your Shojin procced, with your abilities only, you deal 120 extra damage, while a Sheen proc in late to mid game is gonna be like 200 to 250. So you would need 2k damage to basically deal as much damage as one Sheen proc from Trinity Force in late game. Talking about Trinity Force, I mean, this item is straight baller. I will put it next to DMP, and Sunder Sky is following very closely. Then we're almost running out of items here, I think. I hope that there's not too many items missing. Static Shift. Sterox Gauge goes into S tier. It's super good still. It gives you tenacity, a huge shield. It's a bit pricey now, but it's a very good item if you need to have something against burst. This goes here. Stride Break. I'm gonna put into S tier, but a low S tier. How do we do this? Like this. Stride Breaker is decent. It works very well with Eclipse. There are some setups you can run Stride Breaker in, but usually for me it's more of a niche item where I can't really proc Trinity Force procs enough or Sunder Sky procs enough, so I have to go Stride Breaker. That's kind of how I see this item. Sunfire. I mean, it has CDR. Let's just put it here. The stats are okay on Sunfire. Then Collector. You know what, I'm gonna put Collector into low C tier because it helps you secure kills, but it's just not really good. But you can technically do something with it. You can put this here too. Oh, not this. This. For male. Honestly, I'm gonna put it into low C tier. AD just doesn't play like that. Like, you don't really play to get hit by people the entire time to get phone damage. Like, you're not durable enough to make use of it. I'm gonna put it into like mid C tier. Umbral Glaive. Man, I'm gonna put it into a low C tier. It's cheap and it gives you 80, I guess. That's already meeting the requirement. It has like okay stats, but Wits End is such a fucking weird item. If this item would give us 80 and less on hit, it would actually be like mid B tier, I would say. But right now I'm just gonna put it into high C tier. It's really not that great. It doesn't give you any 80, it doesn't give you any HP, it gives you tenacity and magic on hit and magic resistance. It's a weird item. I'm gonna put it high C tier, somewhere there. Yomos is probably his best starting item. I can't put it over Trinity Force, but you know what? I will put it over Trinity Force actually. I think Yomos is actually his best item right now. It gives you a lot of mobility, it's very cheap, it makes up for all the things we are lacking in Season 14 in this split. It's the perfect item for AD. It's his best AD item, his best first AD item, excuse me, by far, by a landslide, by a long shot, okay? Trinity Force is just this most solid AD item. And I mean, both of these items are in my build. If you haven't seen my guide for my Season 14 AD UDYR build, you should check it out. But yeah, these two items are in there for a reason, right? A lot of good items you're gonna see in my builds, because these items are just usually better than other items. Tiamat, guys. Tiamat is such a bad component, guys. Okay, I'm usually not talking about components, but why the fuck not? This video is a bit shorter anyways. Tiamat is horrible, okay? Not only do you deal less damage to targets, which is true, even with the active you deal less damage than just building a pickaxe and a longsword, which is, I think, 50 more gold, but it's comparable in gold. Let's be realistic here, we can't go with 100 to 100 ratio. Even if you lose 50 gold worth of AD, you would still deal more damage than Tiamat. So not only do you deal less damage to targets, even with the active, but also you clear slower because your pet scales off of AD, first of all. So meaning if you just build more AD, your AoE clearing automatically gets faster just by your pet, right? But also your AD on hit and your AD max HP damage scales of AD, right? Meaning that if you just build 1.2k gold worth of AD instead of Tiamat, you're gonna kill the fat target, the fat monster in the camp, way faster because they have so much HP. They have like 2,000, 3,000 HP, right? So you just kill these targets way faster. You kill dragons faster, you kill grubs faster. These are all high HP, low armor targets, so please never build Tiamat. If I build Stride Breaker, by the way, I literally don't build Tiamat. I go double longsword into Phage and then skip Tiamat into building Stride Breaker. I never built Tiamat. It's a horrible component. It's literally meme. It doesn't make you clear faster, it makes you deal less damage. It's horrible. Don't build it. Zonias, you know what? I'm gonna put Zonias on the list. It's trash tier 2, but again, it's better than GA. It doesn't matter if it gives you shittier stats, at least the usage is much better. The functionality is infinitely better. Zeke. Not good, guys. Brutalizer, actually good component, but you can't really build it a lot. Tunneler, better component. I use Tunneler actually a lot now. It doesn't give you that much AD, but it's okay. This is actually an S tier component. I don't know if you guys remember this from my guide, but when I go Yomus, there's two bags I have. If I have 1.1k gold, meaning I did more than a full clear and a crab, I'm gonna get Dirk. If I don't have that and I only have the 900 gold from a full clear plus crab, I go this, which is literally 900 gold. It gives the 80 movement speed. It's perfect, right? Especially since we have magical footwear, so we get the 5% movement speed, 4% actually it is, from this component, and we don't have to build boots, and we have still mobility and 80 for 900 gold. It's so good. Then, let's see. And if I'm totally broke, of course, I'm just going longswords. We can talk about components here, I guess. This is actually a really good component. It's just so niche. It's only in DD, I think. It gives the AD and armor. It's actually a decent component, but like you will barely ever build this, so because it's tied to Death Stance. Sheen. Honestly, guys, Sheen for 900 gold, I usually skip Sheen and just get 80 components. You can build Sheen if you want to fight champions more, because Sheen obviously gives you a lot of burst against champions. It doesn't give you any AD, meaning that you killing camps and objectives is much slower. I'm gonna put it into like B tier. It's okay. But like the thing is, if Brutalizer is here, then I have to put Brutalizer here too, because Brutalizer is insane technically for UDYR, but there's just not good items you can build out of this. Then we can talk about pets too, guys. Okay. Blue pet is S tier, red pet is low C tier, and green pet is like low B tier. Blue pet is the best because mobility is just most valuable on AD UDYR. The green pet is okay if you don't need mobility and you're up against a lot of melee champions and you can like afford to just not have the mobility and invest into a shield because you're in melee range fighting them anyways. And then this is useless because you already have a slow on R. You get 5 or 4% max HP burn, which yes can help you kill targets faster. That's why it's not in trash tier, but other than that, like, you only would build this if you need to kill a target instantly, right? If you, I don't know, if there's this one target you have to kill and you know that when the game starts, you can build this, right? That has to die 4% HP faster. Then this I'm not gonna talk about. We can talk about boots. Berserker Grief C, mobility don't exist, but the equivalent of mobility is trash. Ionian boots, C tier because now we have the haste rune. Swifties straight up S. Swifties are our fucking Yeezys, you guys know the drill. It's so good, it just makes you get on target so much easier. Mercs is S tier now too. We don't get tenacity from runes anymore, so tenacity from boots is much more important, and mercs have tenacity. And then I would say this is like A tier. Tabis. Usually, honestly, on AD UDYR, usually building Tabis doesn't make you survive much longer, even though you get anti-on hit and armor. Usually, like, the way you build AD UDYR has so little base resistances that you're having 12. It's like an ADC building Tabis. Okay, you still die to the same amount of auto attacks because you're getting overkilled, right, by the damage. So the 12% doesn't like really change anything, and it's kind of the same for UDYR, but UDYR of course is tankier. We have our shield, just as an example. And then Sorg boots, Kek W, trash tier. For Phoenix it would be a different story, guys, and I think that sums it up. If there's any item that is not on the list or that I didn't mention, just shoot me a comment in the comment sections, and I'm gonna try to answer your comment as fast as possible and tell you like where I would put it about. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this tier list, and I see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, join the Discord server if you want to talk about the tier list or make your own and show me. See you guys on the next one. Peace.